Hello and welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the screaming to determine the best movie for any given year. This year, we are tackling 2019, and tonight, we are tackling a movie that may disturb you, that may cause you to question what you really believe and who you really are, and honestly, who really is the bad guy, and might it be society? And are we taking care of people with mental illness? And what about men? And what about white men? Right? Of course, we're tackling Joker, not the Joker, just Joker. I guess this is based on a character that already existed. Joining me are my best friends, Ryan and Mike. Are you familiar with this? That this was a pre-existing character?
I have. I don't want to brag. Okay, I'm not like a cowboy or anything, but I've shuffled a deck of cards or two. Okay. I know exactly where this guy is from. This guy is based on two of the cards in a deck of cards that aren't the 52 that you would normally play with, yes?
Okay. Well, you don't want to play with these cards. You want that deck to be a few cards short of a full house.
Right.
But you both are telling me you don't know the Clown Prince of Crime?
Oh, is this the Spider-Man guy?
Just that term, the Clown Prince of Crime, makes this movie seem crazy. Like, where it was that in any of this?
So the first thing I want to talk about in terms of this movie is how we have felt about it, because we have been like not looking forward to movies before, but would you agree this is the movie that we had the most like prejudged, we absolutely hate you of any movie?
For the show or just in our lives?
Let's say for this show. Let's start with for the show.
I was furious at specifically the two of you. It's not your fault we had to do this, but as I hit play, I was mad at you.
Oh, you're mad at the two white people who are part of society.
Yep.
So you're the Joker then, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you
Ryan.
Get what you fucking deserve.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I couldn't hear what you were saying there because as a white man, I don't listen to anything you're saying. All right, society is deaf to what you want to talk about.
I mean, I saw this movie with Mike, and then Mike and I did a segment on the Superhero Show. So we, I know what Mike thinks about this, which is going to make a very boring show for me.
But at least that 10 minutes is now an hour and a half.
And nobody seems concerned about what makes me bored. And then
I couldn't be less concerned.
But Greg, you're the one who you watched this for the first time. Did it live up to all of your expectations? I don't know, like, you didn't want to watch it, and it seemed for all the right reasons, you know?
Yeah. Well, I do have to say, I felt like I knew what this movie was going to talk about, and then when it started, I felt like, oh, okay, it's maybe it's actually a little more complicated than I thought. And then by the time it ended, I was like, oh, no, of course. It was like, I prejudged this movie quite correctly. Like, it really did end up coming back around, and we're going to talk about what this movie is ultimately about in a few different ways, but I felt like my preconceived notions about what the point of this movie was going to be ultimately were like totally what this movie turned out to be about.
Did it make you think that, like, I'm the host of Moody and I will be here and I'll do a good job hosting, but watching the movie, why would I need to do that? I know what the movie's going to be.
Right.
Like, from now on, you never have to watch any of these movies again, you know?
I don't hate that I have seen it. I never looked forward to watching it. Actually watching it was like whatever, but I'm not like, oh, I can't believe it, that was so terrible. It was just like the way I guess I've always kind of felt about this movie is I just don't care. Like, it's not even, it doesn't rise to real hatred.
And
I guess it's actually
that is the way to be. I think I've been told I overreacted against it. Like, my wife watched it with me and she was like, I thought it was going to be so much worse. I was like, yeah, it's just aggressively boring. That's its biggest flaw.
It's bad in its mediocrity.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a deep well of mediocrity, and we're gonna tackle how deep into that well it really gets. Of course, people who are listening to this show, most likely you listen to it every single week and you build your whole life around it. But on the offhand chance that there's a new person who hasn't heard our show before, I just want to point out this is a competition. I have my two best friends here, Ryan and Mike, but who will be my number one best friend? Right now, currently, Ryan, if I'm correct, it's you.
Yeah, and the people who say that they have multiple best friends are fucking liars. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to choose. Greg, you have a nice,
side.
easy way to choose. Other
Yeah.
people out there don't have what you like this platform that you have, but don't have multiple best friends. You're insulting everyone.
Do you think the fact that I showed up in a maroon suit with makeup dripping off does that scare you to let me win or to not let me win?
Man, I just look at you and I'm like, he's capable of anything, and it makes me question like, what is good, what is bad?
But
what
I
is
appreciate
chaos?
I appreciate the commitment, but it's not even Joker makeup. It's full on like Tammy Faye Baker makeup. Like, why did you choose that route?
That's who I look up to.
That is a pretty good Tammy Faye Baker, I have to say.
Not enough
But yeah,
Tammy Faye Baker talk these days.
You
Tay
really
Faye Bay?
caked it on.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, so I'm going to pit you guys off against each other, and I'm going to be scoring you. And when this is all said and done, we may have a new king of the mountain. We may have a new best friend with all the privileges that entails. But we didn't come together, you guys, to talk about little old me. We came to talk about Joker. And we will in just one sound effect. Before the movie came out, and just after, there was a lot of concern and pearl clutching that the film would embolden incels to rise up in all their gross insaneliness. Does the film truly stay on the side of mass shooters and toxic men? Or was the concern taking the movie out of context?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things there. Does it stay on their side? I think so. I think it does. Will it convince anyone to go mass shoot? I'm not sure about that. I grew up in the era of heavy metal and then hip hop. Convince all normal, sane people to like commit violent crimes. All violent movies, Grand Theft Auto. Like these are the things that Marilyn Manson turn people
D&D.
Turn people into violent criminals. And I don't want to then, get older and then become a hypocrite. I don't think that this is going to be responsible for any mass shootings, but I do think it makes a lot of bad people feel better.
Yeah.
And
well,
I think
yes, I think that's the people who are already and growing up somebody who is stupidly into the Joker. I will embarrass myself yet again and reveal that I do have a Harley Quinn tattoo on my leg.
Very brave of you.
But
I am going to have to give Ryan a point
for my past life choices.
for your terrible tattoo choices.
It was really well done. She looks great. It's Paul Dini style.
I have just to be fair, I have a Harley Quinn Smith tattoo. I have Kevin Smith's daughter tattooed
that
on my
is
leg.
worse.
That's bad, man. You're a bad man.
Anybody who was grossly into the Joker anyway and was on this path, this isn't gonna they'd already be there. Like this isn't winning anybody over to the Joker because the Joker, both in why he is a long-lasting character and in the world where he does inspire people, it's charisma, and there's not a fucking ounce of that in here. So I do think the pro clutching was over.
It's charisma and it's mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all gone. It's it's like suspense. It's like not knowing what's going to happen next with him. That was sort of his whole thing, that whole Coen Brothers Agents of Chaos that we've been talking about recently. That's what the Joker was. And so I think that you could be a fan of any previous Joker or just the Joker in general up until this movie and not be a psychopath,
Yes.
But this one purposefully brings out those people who say this movie is great, and if you disagree with me, I'm going to tweet very, very nasty things at you. And those movies always raise a red flag.
Well, and it is for this just tweets. I think the why I do think the movie stays on the side of the incel the whole time, but why I think the pro clutching was too much was people were like, well, that guy called himself the Joker and shot the Dark Knight. This is also loosely rated to Batman. This might make people shoot people, and I think that's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I do. I agree with what Ryan said, which is that it's not that it's going to incite acts of violence necessarily, because we have to. I think, to be consistent, we have to say we don't necessarily believe that as big Quentin Tarantino fans and fans of other hyper-violent stuff. But it does celebrate a lifestyle and kind of nurture these people who feel like they are owed so much and given so little.
Right.
And I feel like, how bad is that? How bad is it to put that, that sort of comfort into these people's minds?
And it is especially because watching it a second time, the first time I was like, oh, Todd Phillips really does just side with the incels. I don't think he does here, but I don't think people who could get a message are watching it nuances, because the last thing Joker says before he shoots Robert De Niro is, you get what you fucking deserve. But that's what Thomas Wayne has said the whole movie. So it does feel like the movie's almost saying, like, nobody should just say you get what you deserve and hurt other people, but it's saying it in such a bad way. It's not nuanced. And it's also the coolest Joaquin Phoenix does look the whole movie is right before he does that. So it's kind of like Tyler Durden theory, where like people are going to lose. If you had a message, people are going to lose it because this guy looks good in a suit.
I was reminded of Fight Club. Our first movie that we ever reviewed was Fight Club.
True.
And I was reminded of it the entire time because we were pretty harsh on it. And I don't think we talked enough about in our episode where the satire was supposed to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And basically we said that the satire missed. I don't know like how true that is, but with this movie there isn't any, you know? There is no satire. So I think maybe he thinks he is doing it, but what happens is that everybody is the same. Like Mike said, Joker has the same message as Thomas Wayne, as the media, as everybody, but there's nothing to like learn at the end, and it still just focuses on Joker being the good guy, not the protagonist, like literally the person that we're supposed to root for.
The one of the final scenes of him on the car while people just cheer for him. Even though they were all riding when that happened, so how do they know what happened? That's not what we're here to talk about, not the illogic of the movie.
Well, but I think we kind of are here to talk about the illogic of the movie, because I think that there are a lot of people who question that what happens in this movie and like what is supposed to be quote real and what is supposed to be unreal. Is that scene where he's standing on top of the car, is that something that really happens? Do we have any way of knowing?
No, and that's I think movies like Memento, where you're like, oh man, the beginning was different from the end and now I have to rethink about it. That is one thing. But to Fight Club in this way, where you think Zazie Beetz is oddly attracted to him because it's bad writing and it would never happen, and then you find out it never happened, but there was no sign there. So what is happening? And not in let me rethink about that movie again. There's no clues in this movie what's real or what isn't real, so it's all fucking stupid.
Yeah. And I mean, the other one is the spinning top at the end of Inception. And do you know who directed Memento and Inception?
Chris No.
The last guy to make Joker compelling, you know? So it's an endless list of like us watching Todd Phillips's Letterboxd list of movies that he has seen before, you know? And that's sort of all it amounts to. Him getting up on the car is so illogical in everything. Like, nobody knows what he actually looks like. There's no reason for them to be like, oh, this is the cult leader. This is our Jesus. And
it perfectly mirrors the stand-up comedy scene where he feels like he's killing it when he's not.
That it must be a dream or in his imagination, but if it's in his imagination, that's fucking stupid for a whole different sort of reasons.
Yeah, so in his imagination, he's passed out in a cop car, and people lift him up. Like, he is a leader who needs to be pushed to be a leader. And that could be really interesting. A cult leader who doesn't really want to be a cult leader, he kind of fumbles his way in. That could be a fascinating Joker movie.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But this movie doesn't follow that strain at all. It's just like, and now he is. So.
And then, you know, we go from that like real dreamy, unusual feeling scene where he's on top of the cop car directly into like the, you know, Arkham Asylum or wherever that is. And then he laughs, you know, oh, you wouldn't get it. So are we supposed to take it that he was imagining that? Is he imagining everything he did as the Joker? Like,
I mean, just the thing of, oh, you wouldn't get it, is talking to people who have complaints about the movie and saying, you know, like it's wearing it on its sleeve and saying, if you say anything about it, oh, you wouldn't get it, you're not smart enough. And that's it gives the people who will defend this movie no matter what something to say, and that's bullshit. That's fucking cheating.
And even if you're going with that late 90s smarmy film guy asshole persona for the movie, and because we get an earlier scene of him in Arkham Asylum, it's like, oh, what if he never left? But then he walks out and has bloody footprints, so you're like, so what isn't real, and fuck you. It just ends in fuck you, Todd Phillips.
Yeah. I mean, clearly at the end he's supposed to have killed the
or did
psychologist. I really do feel like when you get to the end of a movie and you don't know what is real or isn't real, that doesn't feel like, wow, that's amazing filmmaking. It feels like, wow, you copped out like as hard as you possibly could so that you could never be accused of saying anything.
Or you can watch it a second time. It's supposed to like make you want to watch it a second time, as opposed to how me and Mike spent our week, which was just like, fuck, are you serious? Do I seriously have to fucking do this? And then you watch it again, and instead of the second time opening new things where you like understand everything the director's doing, well, I guess you do understand. You understand that it's just cheating and like really poorly like tied together things that are just there because he saw another filmmaker do it.
I felt like this movie was going to contain a bunch of references to a bunch of different Joker stuff. In the end, it felt like it only contained references to The Dark Knight. Do you guys agree with that? That this movie like seems to mostly be in conversation with our last version of, well, our second to last version,
Greg.
Sorry,
Let us never forget.
Don't forget our generation's damaged Joker.
Yeah, man, I guess I almost fully do. Every time I think of it, I think of like various Jokers. I always come to him and I'm like, oh yeah, I nearly forgot that one.
There was a movie that came out this year that tried to get us to do that. Like Birds of Prey was like, please forget that last Joker.
But did it see like the mask, like Joker's whole face and the mask that people wear? That's like the actual mask from the first scene of Dark Knight, right?
Yeah, that mask is. I mean, his makeup is a little different. I will say that this is. It's hard to find good things to say about this movie. I think his look is fucking awesome. His suit and his makeup look sweet. I just wish there was a movie that backed up that look.
And going back to the mask, there was a almost like Peter Parker-esque, I'm going to put my costume in the trash can and walk away shot where getting off the subway, Arthur Fleck puts the mask that like allowed him to escape in a trash can, and we hold there for a solid 9 or 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And I tried so hard to think of like what is he force feeding us right now? And all I could come to is that, hey, doesn't that look like the one from the beginning of The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
That's just sort of all it had.
But we'd seen it a bunch of times before that.
We know.
We got it at this point, man. Yeah, because he takes off the mask and has on the makeup and continues to go do his plan. So it's not like Peter Parker, I'm rethinking anything. Again, would have been kind of an interesting move in this movie. Right before I Joker. Should I not Joker? But yeah, so there's that mask. There's the cop car window scene. Those are the two big ones I can connect between The Dark Knight. But that's the biggest is that it feels like maybe you should have read some comics. Maybe you should have thought about 80 years of history this character has.
Or just cast Mark Hamill. Just do it, everybody.
God, great.
I think we all have the perfect Joker already, and he can do it live action.
And nobody,
I believe in him.
There is no actor who does the "let me dust this off my shoulder" move better than Mark Hamill does. So the Joker could have done that the entire movie.
When we come back, we are going to build our very own Rushmore full of our favorite Batman villain performances.
Mount Rushmore!
And we are back. Guys, listen, there's this thing, and it's called Mount Rushmore. And no one's ever seen it, and no one knows where it is, and no one knows who built it. So we're going to build our own. That way we can answer all those questions. I feel like what goes on at Rushmore are like sort of the most iconic things of all time. Batman villains are iconic just in their nature, but we've seen some amazing performances by actors playing these villains, and I want to build a Rushmore of that. So, gentlemen, bring me the best Batman villain performances you or anyone else has ever seen. Ryan, let's start with you. What do you think belongs on our Rushmore of Batman villain performances?
All right, let's get a little ballsy here.
Getting ballsy with the very first pick,
which should be worth a point in general, but
he's going to say Uma Thurman. I'm calling it.
Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. I don't want this mountain to go a particular way where it's all the same character. So I want to get out there ahead of that, and I want to say Michelle Pfeiffer from Catwoman.
Dang.
I'm sorry, not from Catwoman. That was Halle Berry. From Batman Returns. I think that it is hard to put a number on how impactful this character was for a lot of reasons. The leather, she just owned that entire movie, and it might have ruined Halle Berry and Anne Hathaway's performances in the future because of how like her shadow was that big.
Yeah. She did something that I had never seen before as a young man, which is she had a neon sign in her house that said "Hello there." And when she made her full heel turn, she knocked out the O from hello, forming the word hell. And there she knocked out the T, so it said hell here.
That's some of the most clever sign changing in a Batman-related movie I have ever seen.
And I also like how it kind of takes a pass at really saying what Catwoman is, but strongly intimates that she's some sort of weird, like, cat revived undead cat person
who's into like the negative side of live laugh love. Hell here, how?
Well, that's gonna go right up on the mountain, of course. Catwoman, iconic villain, and that's like probably one of the best performances of all time. Let's say, Mike, do you think that's hyperbolic?
No.
Yeah, well, that's a point for Mike and a point for Ryan for getting something up on the mountain. All right, Mike, let's go to you. One spot already taken.
I will follow suit with my respected competitors' trend of let's not go the obvious route at first. Let's end obviously. And so much of Batman lore owes a lot to a fucking cartoon of a live action show. But one character, one villain, won an Emmy and truly defined the Riddler. I think so many kids grew up thinking the Riddler was just a ripoff of the Joker because they just saw Jim Carrey, not knowing what Frank Gorshin did with the Riddler, and had him be like, as much as it could be in Batman 66, like a thoughtful, menacing, calculating kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us the classic green bowler hat, purple band, purple domino mask.
Didn't he always wear glasses in that? And wasn't his whole thing like with Batman would go to punch him and he'd be like, "You're not going to hit a man with glasses, are you?"
Is that where that all came from?
And so then Batman would hold his hand out and then the Riddler would take off his glasses and put them in Batman's hand and then Batman would punch him in the face.
Iconic.
Also punch him in the stomach.
Yeah, dude. Kick him in the knee. Kick him in the shin. Knock him over and kick him again. I'm going to put that on the maybe. That's a maybe. But I really do like the chutzpah of bringing like sort of these deep pulls. Ryan, a lot of people are talking about that this is a major opening for you.
Yeah,
that
this
Mike
is crazy.
whiffed on his pick, and that you got the easy street to another place on Rushmore. Care to respond?
I am going to save one for my DC, as I call it, my distinguished competition. And I don't know. I think there might be two obvious ones here, so me and Mike can do a 1-2 punch. But I'm going to go with Pop Filter Hall of Famer, the aforementioned Mark Hamill, as the Joker in Batman the Animated Series. I think this is the we had Jack Nicholson. Maybe we'll talk about him later. But Jack was Jack in makeup, you know? Mark Hamill's performance was the comic book coming to life. This is what we all heard in our heads without even knowing that that's what we were hearing.
Yeah, part of what I like about Hamill's Joker is there has been such a push to make Joker like likable or something. You know, and Hamill just went so overboard and made him so unfunny, so aggressively terrible,
needy,
loud. Yeah, like just that person that is always in the room next to you on every vacation. Just like shut the fuck up, bro.
And I still menacing at times, like his patheticness turned menacing in a way that you bought.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think the Joker's really supposed to be as appealing and cool and edgy as people want to make him. He does the edgiest thing of all, right, which is celebrating crime. But he's not like he's not a cool dude in a trench. He's like he's a shitty clown that nobody likes and that he just randomly kills people. And definitely, I'm giving you the point, putting him up on the mountain. Also, you guys, do you know that Mark Hamill's also Luke Skywalker?
What?
He's doing both of those things. They're very different characters.
He can do both? That's crazy.
Two sides of a coin? I don't know. Mike, care to comment?
I'm going to say that they're not that different characters. They're the same. But I would like you two to write that think piece. I don't have the time for that. I just come up with the headlines and you guys handle it.
You're just the idea guy.
Hold on, Mike. Frank Gorshin won an Emmy for playing the Riddler?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
And he was the one from the cast.
We just zoomed right by that.
I know.
Was that shit? That was like a primetime show. See, I think of it as being on Saturday at 3.
Yeah,
right. No, yeah, it was not.
So that was like Thursday night at 8 p.m.
Must see TV.
Emmy winning.
Emmy winning.
Batsui.
It went Friends, Batman, Seinfeld. I think.
I guess I'm glad I said Frank Gorshin and not Vincent Price's Egghead.
Oh God damn it! Can we not ruin all of my things, please?
All right, so Mike, it's back to you. 2 slots taken.
I wanted to keep
very
doing
wisely.
deep pulls. I wanted to. It'd be fun to do avoid the big ones, but now I'm afraid of not getting points. This is. I do think the role that helped ruin every Joker after. And his own life, if you believe the Hollywood lore. Like, this is when, you can't just act. You gotta, the Joker enters you, man, and changes you. But people were
the
really
fact
pissed.
that Jack Nicholson said that to him is fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then he killed himself.
And then,
This is a guy who had played the devil. Jack Nicholson played the devil in another movie, so, isn't that a crazier guy? A clownier prince?
It's crazy that he kissed Heath on the cheek and said, "Ever dance with me in the pale moonlight?" And so, are you hitting on him? But yeah, Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, I think it'd be impossible to not put him on here. And I do think this is when it came from. I think the Joker is cool. His performance was so good now I want to like him, because this is the first Joker who did kind of make good points, but good points does not a good person make.
Yeah, and wasn't he the first Joker who was really a hardcore victim of stuff, portrayed as someone who's deeply abused by his father? Right,
but the difference is between his Joker and the Joker we're mainly talking about tonight is it was all hinted at. He could have been lying the whole time.
I distinctly remember when Heath Ledger gave his first origin story. I was like, "What the fuck?" But it was one of 3 in the movie.
He gave 3 more, and so maybe he just smashed his head through glass at a fucking punk show, and that's how he got those scars. You don't know, and that's the whole point, is don't know.
Because there have been many origin stories for Joker. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting in this movie that we get the origin story of Batman retold, because as maybe hacky as that move could possibly be, we're reminded that there's one origin story for Batman, and we all know it down to the word pearls. But for Joker, there are more origin stories than there are Jokers.
What
they each have multiple ones.
What would have been better if those people who killed Thomas and Martha just kept walking down alleys and threw a kid a green bowler hat and then introduced a little girl to plants and just went all the way down and created the entire world in one night.
They are the true heroes and villains.
So, for me, I feel like there is something off about this Joker, but we talked about Rushmore as being iconic. This is one of the most iconic Batman villain performances. So going up on the mountain, Mike gets the point for that one, and we are down to 1 spot. And what I'd like to do when we get down to just 1 spot is I'm going to go to both of you. I want both of you to give me a potential here, all right? 1 spot left. Guys, think very wisely, okay? Ryan, who do you think belongs in the last spot, and why?
I want so badly to say Victor Zsasz from Gotham, but this is iconic, and this is
iconic. Yeah,
that's not what we're doing here. I've got, man, this is really hard. I will say the reason for the season. I feel like that as much as the shitting on it, we're going to, fellow listeners, we're going to shit so much on this movie for the next hour. So I don't know if I can keep doing it right now. The guy won Best Actor previously.
The guy made $1 million. Right?
He probably made it $1 exact million. Previously to him winning Best Actor, Joker had only been given Best Supporting Actor, so this is a huge step up for the Joker as a character. I have a couple more left, but I think Joaquin has to be talked about.
All right, so potentially, as Ryan says, the reason for the season, and later in the show, we're going to dig deep into his performance. Mike, what do you think? Who do you say should be the last one on?
I want to lean iconic, and if you Billy down the street and ask somebody name 3 Batman villains from movies, this is one. It comes up. The internet, I think, is a big reason people remember this one more than anything. It is the most laughed at movie, but the most pop culturally referenced villain now is fucking Mr. Freeze.
Are you serious right now?
I think so. We're talking about iconic. He's all over the place. It's absurd. It is not favorite, but I think he would be listed 8 people before Joaquin Phoenix would have. Tell me a Batman villain from a movie.
I think there are a few more iconic. How about Eartha Kitt's Catwoman? How about
Danny
Tom
DeVito's
Hardy's
Penguin?
Bane? How about Danny DeVito's Bane? No, you dropped the ball.
Tom Hardy's Bane. He is not on there. He's not iconic in any way.
How about all of the people whose jobs were to come up with new puns about cold and ice that lost their jobs because Mr. Freeze took them all in that one movie? And then Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah.
We already said his name, so I felt like we weren't allowed to say it.
Well, I am going to sort of sift through all of these, and I will pick Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's performance of Joker, iconic, going up on the mountain. Ryan, you did technically say that, so that's going to be a point. He just said, and Jack Nicholson.
Oh, when we're just yelling? That's insane.
Yeah. You know what?
That's a great point at best.
This is a show dedicated to a man who thinks evil is a laughing matter. So I think what you're going to find is that some of these things are not reasonable, Mike. All right? I'm an agent of chaos. That's why I'm wearing all this makeup. All right. So, Ryan, who goes up on the mountain? Did either one of you pay any attention to who we put on this mountain?
Yeah, it came out, the Joker's definitely represented. I think we all saw that coming, right?
Yes.
The mountain is Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns, Mark Hamill from Batman the Animated Series, Heath Ledger from The Dark Knight, and Jack Nicholson from Batman 89.
Batman 89. What a great movie. Guys.
Is that a good movie?
I don't know. Let's do an 89 season.
Batman, the Batman movie from 89 does make its own little space. I don't know if it's a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
It's the only movie that isn't like, watch all these people get nuts. It asks the audience, do you want to get nuts?
In the lobby right now. Peanut Machine. Let's go.
It's the only movie I can ever remember seeing a jet get shot down with a handgun. Right? So that's pretty cool.
Because that's mostly safe for real life. Movies try to stay away from that.
Guys, what we're going to do here is we are going to sort of flip the switch on the track, and we're going to deviate from our regular listeners and just go and do a little content for our Patreon listeners who we love so much and who mean so much to us. Mike, how do you find our Patreon on the computer web?
You can find it by going to patreon.com/yourpopfilter. And then all our offerings and tiers are there. You get $1 a month. You get a certain amount of things. You get $5 is the best. Do $5 a month. We do have a new patron, and I want to thank him because we're supposed to do that. That's one of the things we offer. So thank you to Daniel T.
Who the fuck is that?
T. A strange person we don't know.
A strange person we don't know.
Is that D. Tompkins? No, that's too much
information.
I do think, Mike, do you think that we can add in this time in our nation, this crisis, can we add a tier where every time one of us starts just crying about what's going on, we film it, and you get to watch that?
Yes, I think people need more things to jerk off to. They've gone through RedTube.
I have been spending a lot of time weeping lately, and I was wondering if I should make a TikTok while I do.
Hey, Greg, if you're going to do something, turn it into content, please. What are we doing here?
Nothing is just living anymore. Everything is tent.
Tent.
So, step this way, Patreon listeners, into a land of fresh, exclusive content where we'll take you on a shopping spree and talk about the contributions of Todd Phillips to this movie. The rest of you, no. You can't step behind the curtain just yet unless you, like Daniel T. Tompkins, agree to give us some amount of money per month. When we come back, Patreon only! We are back with everybody, all our listeners, who, for the record, as far as you know, we all love equally. We are going to ask and answer another one of our questions, and here it is. Hugh Jackman in The Fountain, Meryl Streep in Julia and Julia, Michael Fassbender in Prometheus, Jake Gyllenhaal in Jarhead, Edward Norton in Primal Fear, Will Smith in Ali. Can we at least put Joker in that category of mediocre movie with a great lead performance?
No. I'm here to say no.
All right, let's go to the speed round.
It feels like even when people want to shit on the movie but don't want to get screamed at on Twitter or in real life, they go, but Joaquin is great. It's like we're not even allowed to mention maybe somebody who is one of the best living actors did a bad job.
I would say the
best living actor.
But okay, so Mike, you're kind of by not saying it, you're saying it. But would you like to affirm that you think, in your opinion, Joaquin Phoenix does a bad job in this movie?
I want to say that I don't think it's his fault. So maybe I'm still hedging my bets. But
you're hedging like crazy, man.
I alluded to maybe just in the Patreon section that it feels like it's a different Arthur in every scene he's in because he's this tick. He has so many ticks and idiosyncrasies throughout the movie, and in the hospital scene with his mom, he's calm. There's no tics. So is it saying like anger pushes through mental illness? If you're angry enough, you can become real cool and collected like you do belong in a Tarantino movie? And then through the rest of the movie, he's mostly that, but he just gets like cooler. And real Arthur kind of goes away, and it's not saying like.
But that's when he's this is what's so tough about this movie. Anytime you see him looking calm and collected when he's angry, that's his weird misremembering what actually happened, right?
But even in his fantasy before, when him and his mom are watching Murray, he's like the weird twitchy guy in Murray's crowd. So in that fantasy, he's the Arthur we get to know.
Okay.
So that's why it's hard, and it just feels like off. Like it doesn't feel like, oh no, this is his. If in that fantasy he was very cool and normal, then I'd be like, oh, every time he's like calm and collected and doesn't do the weird laugh thing and can't make eye contact. Then
is this just a movie where we watch a guy learn how to pretend that he's cool? At the beginning of the movie, he doesn't know, but by the end of it, he has a rich imaginary life where he's rad.
Even like, so there's like the cool, calm, and collected Arthur in the hospital and with the two other clown guys. But then when he's on Murray's show, he uses a voice we've never seen before. He really does change his voice in every other scene of this fucking movie.
And it's Queen Elizabeth's voice, which is why would...
Hello.
That was
We
Mrs.
live in a
Doubtfire.
Oh, yeah, Queen Elizabeth.
It was a drive-by fruiting, Murray.
Yeah, this is definitely because of watching it a second time. Because when you first watch it, you are interested in seeing what he does next. Mm-hmm. But the second time, you already know, and it is just sort of like, what do I think could make me cooler or more subtle or more crazy? And I think that he is definitely this performance is definitely a victim of him being the greatest, I'll say non-retired actor. Mm-hmm. Daniel Day-Lewis is still alive. But like, compare this performance to The Master or Her or Inherent Vice. Like, this actor is capable of doing so many things in any given second, and we really only do have one thing going on at any given time. It's not complex. It's not nuanced. It's all just like, hey, man. And it's definitely, I hate to go back to the previous segment from Patreon, but it's Todd Phillips is not giving him
rein him in or give him direction.
Yeah, like Paul Thomas Anderson created this like insane performance of him in like multiple movies, or in Her, Spike Jonze did. The guy is insanely talented. This was no direction, no advice. Do what you want. There's
a story of the bathroom scene. I think it's after he kills the Wall Street Bros. And he's realizing, and that's like the first time we see him dance, and he did that like to get pumped up, and Todd Phillips was like, that's the character. You dance on like, so it's just, that's a bad director who just sees you do something off the cuff and goes, we're going to put that in the movie, man. Because that also shows, it bugs me, he does that weird like alien slow dance. If that was always how he danced, at least, and he's doing that down the stairs, that's creepy and that's a decision. But the dance styles change up throughout the whole fucking thing. There's no consistency.
I'm sure this sounds hypocritical because there's a million incredible Hollywood stories of where like the best part of it was like done off camera and they moved it in, and now we're just shitting on Todd Phillips no matter what. But there's so much other evidence of him not knowing what to do or not having his own ideas or message or thing to say that it falls right into the crap list.
And what bothers me a lot and goes back to like the very first question of is this saying like it's cool to be an incel and kill people? I don't like that more violent he becomes, the cooler and more like collected and can get through society he becomes. That's a bad fucking message. That's the truly bad message in this movie based on his behavior.
One of the things I think the movie could have tackled that I didn't think about until I was listening to you two was the difference between what you think is cool and how you like remember your past, you know? And this guy has a severe problem of understanding what cool means. And so what we get to watch is like his idea of it, and it's not at all. And just dealing with that is small enough for this one movie to tackle. You know, unfortunately, it's one of 200 different things, none of which are handled well or thoughtfully or originally.
Mm-hmm. It is said of Joaquin Phoenix, or rather, he said himself that he didn't base like his performance on any one mental illness, but like on a plurality of them, a bunch of mental illnesses. Isn't that tantamount to saying like I set out to do a bad job?
Yeah.
Like and it kind of fits with what you're saying, Mike, which is like there's not consistency to it. And then when I see that being replicated across different things, I'm wondering, is that kind of the point? Is that lack of coherence part of the point that the performer is making and part of the point that Todd Phillips is making, or is it just we throw everything at the wall and we hope that at the end something profound sticks?
It's one of those things. If it works, cool. Your lack of coherence, man. Wait, if it doesn't work, it seems not coherent and bad. Like
it's a big risk you're taking.
The amount of performance in it and the lack of like complexity and nuance reminds me of a different iconic, I think Oscar-nominated performance, and that is Jack Sparrow. And Johnny Depp straight up said, "I just did Keith Richards."
Right.
Pick one thing. Pick one thing to do and then copy it and then
always
be consistent.
Make it Keith Richards.
No matter what.
Savvy.
But yeah, I would say that Jack Sparrow is a more entertaining, more compelling character and performance than what we got in the Joker.
I can't wait for the emails. I agree with you, but I fucking cannot wait for the freakouts.
Do you guys wish that more people identified with Jack Sparrow the way they identify with the Joker?
Yes, because at least that's silly. Jack Sparrow can take a joke. I will say so to like hone in, because Joaquin, there's moments in this movie that he does great. Him like trying to laugh with the clowns, clown it up, and laughing, one of his many fake laughs, and the minute he turns his corner, dropping, is chilling.
Yeah.
Like, he looks terrifying there. And then him walking up through the subway smoking into the clown makeup, he looks fucking boss. Like,
yeah,
him watching the crowd with interest, not with like hatred. I'm gonna kill all these people soon once I become the clown prince of crime, but with interest of like, I wish that people looked at me in a normal way, like they look at everybody else. That was good. And I do think that another scene that shows the floor and the ceiling of the movie, much like the stair scene, is the scene where he kills the clown in his apartment, like his coworker. I think that there's a lot there that is clearly like, we don't know how to do violence well, so we'll just do a lot of it. But as far as the performance goes, I think that is when he is at his best. Mm-hmm. That's when he's most unhinged, but like the same amount of compelling, consistent unhinged for the entire movie.
And that we only get this version of him in this scene, but it does hint at a better movie if he was this Arthur, who was just a little awkward but be him like fucking with the guy he lets live. He's like, I'm gonna get you down. Yeah, come on, like that. I was like, man, that was just a prankster. And him laughing at him because the guy is a little person and he can't reach the lock, and he looks so. That guy is fucking great.
Yeah, dude.
And him just like fucking with him. He's like, you sure? I'm not gonna kill you. You're always nice. Like that scene. If they did that scene first, they're like, how do we build a movie around this only? That would be good. You have
the reason why that's such a good performance from him is that because now we are fully in Arthur Fleck's world, where the rules are set up, and at least for that scene consistent, where of course he's going to kill the guy that he sort of doesn't like, and it's going to be in the most brutal way possible.
Right.
Of course I'm not going to kill you, the little person, because you didn't do anything wrong to me. Why would you think that I would kill you, bro? Like, just because you saw that? No, of course not.
Yeah.
But all of the rules for Arthur Fleck's crazy brain are set, and they're good for that one scene.
Mm-hmm.
There is a moment in that scene where the guy can't get out of his apartment, and Arthur's like, just get out of here. And then the guy can't do it. He can't undo the lock. And there's that moment where, knowing the Joker, you're like, oh, that's going to be the difference. Like, if he was able to get out, he would let him go, because that's a stupid reason to kill somebody. And I think it's a sign that he's not fully Joker yet, that he actually does let that guy go. What I find really chilling about that particular scene is that line where he says, like, you were always nice to me. That's like something that like mass shooters they say to like the people that like. And I'm just very uncomfortable with that. Like, I don't really know what the point of that is.
And it's not chaotic, and it's not jokery.
Right.
Yeah.
So you basically now, instead of dealing with the Joker, we're dealing with Frank Castle, Like, that, and Frank Castle is looked upon well by a lot of other like bad people in society.
Cops.
But is mostly looked at as like on the hero side, and that's what they're trying. See, because he's not chaos, because he has these rules. Atticus Finch has all these rules. They're the same, They're just good guys trying to make it through the world. Oh, and they have the same initials.
Would you agree that the Joker is the clown prince of crime, but that the Punisher is a prince who clowns on crime?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, Mike, you would agree to that? Ryan, would you agree to that?
Yes, I would.
All right, 2 points for Mike. And you know what that sound means? I hope you heard a sound effect a second ago. It is time for the speed round. Let's talk about the ending of the movie. Is there anything interesting or good about the end of this movie? We sort of talked about it earlier, but like, Was this a solid ending in any capacity?
It's try hard, saw a good movie before bullshit.
Yeah.
What do you say, Mike?
I heartily agree. I don't want to give Ryan a point, but yeah, it's
Yeah, it felt like another instance of like maybe some people will think this is neat. Like this is another way you could possibly end a movie. In that scene though, as he's running, are those Louboutins he's wearing? Because they're red bottoms, right, guys? Red bottoms.
Is this a purse joke? Is Louboutin a purse?
I don't understand.
Isn't Louboutins the shoes that have like red bottoms and they're called red bottoms?
You live in, I think, a different high society.
It's based on something
I
heard. It's based on something I heard Cardi B say. Okay,
and
I think actually right now our listeners are laughing so loud that they haven't even heard this part where we stumble through trying to talk about it. Okay,
I would say that right now Mike has a red bottom because I'm spanking him so hard on the show.
Ooh, that's why my dick's so hard.
Oh wow, that's gonna be a point for Mike. What is it about Joker as a character that makes him so enduring that we have to constantly deal with more and more versions of him?
I think there is something alluring to the chaos because no matter what era you're in, whether it's the 40s or now, rules are kind of bullshit. And this is somebody who goes, isn't everything bullshit? And it's fun to not know what somebody's going to do.
I think, too, that, like, again, this episode, listening to you guys talk has taught me that we've got Riddlers and Anton Chigurhs. And Riddlers are sort of, like, non-threatening, and Anton Chigurhs are not funny, I guess, not interesting to watch. And Joker is the combination of, like, I act like an animal. Like, I act like a thoughtless beast, but then I also sort of know how puns can be bad, and so bad they're good. And that combination is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Also, there is some sort of thing where, like, we get to deal with our fear of clowns, but not straight up what clowns typically look like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they sort of, like, turned the clown into a more obvious villain, which is easier to look at than the clown that we know, which is not villainous, therefore very villainous.
Very scary. And it is because he's the foil to the Batman, who has so many codes and rules. He lives his whole life disciplined. So this is the complete opposite of that.
Like, one of Batman's rules, I'm going to dress like a bat.
Yeah.
Joker's rule, never dress
like a bat.
Man, do you guys hope that at some point there will be a property that explores how the Joker and the Batman in the end aren't that different?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Please don't assign me that think piece. There's no way that I could write that.
Do you know who could do really well at that is the Property Brothers. I think that's a perfect property. They look the same. So that's how you know they're the same?
No, we're not going to make this a whole thing about how much I fucking hate the Property Brothers. But we're also not. Ryan, you're getting 2 points. You're getting 2 points for not bringing up the Property Brothers. One of them is dating Zooey Deschanel. They put out a quarantine video together. I'm so furious.
Is that property or property?
I don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's too hard to tell.
About. Yeah, they both suck. I hate them so much. The movie points the finger at least half a dozen entities that are at fault for creating the Joker. What do you think in the end is there one that gets the finger pointed at it? You are definitely responsible.
In Fleck's mind, it's Thomas Wayne. Like, he definitely focuses on him, but it's I think looking at it zoomed out a little, it is the breakdown of any sort of social welfare program.
Yeah. Ryan?
Yeah, like, we don't take care of the people who are on the lower level, which all three of us are. But I think the way that the movie ruins that is by having literally anything that can shit on Arthur shit on him. And that's what creates the Joker, and that sort of ruins it.
Yeah, I think he's making the fun faces with the kid who's enjoying it on the subway in the beginning of the movie, and the mom starts yelling at him. Like,
the mom who's like equally poor.
Yeah, it'd be a little less bleak and more believable if
also
she was like, "Yeah, thank you for distracting my kid for these 20 grueling minutes."
So she was a woman of color.
Let's talk about this.
Psychologist who doesn't listen to him is a woman of color. And the psychologist at the end that he kills is a woman of color.
And Zazie
the only other woman of color is his imaginary girlfriend, which is just someone who lives in his building and then who he does a B&E to go hang out with and terrify. Is that super comfortable, the way this guy is constantly being rude or dismissed by specifically women of color, and that's the only role for them in the movie?
Huh. Yeah, I guess I thought of it that, like...
He says, because, okay, sorry, let me just say one last thing about it. He says to his psychologist, a woman of color, again, like, he says, you don't listen to me, do you? That feels like such a loaded thing to say in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be a white man saying to a woman of color, like, you're not listening to me and you don't hear my part anymore.
There's also a guy from Atlanta. I know he's not a woman, but...
David Patrick Tyree?
The way that I sort of saw it was that all of the people at the top that are bad are white, and all of the people that are at the bottom that are bad are white. And sort of like if anybody is like in the middle and okay, then we're gonna cast somebody black so as to like directly avoid this conversation.
Right, but by doing that, and that's always the people who Arthur feels like okay with at times going against throughout the movie, then you're like, until he like really cracks and goes against Thomas Wayne and then his own mother. But before that, through the rest of the movie, he's like, you know who I'm definitely fine with talking back to? People of color.
When we come back, we are going to hand out some awards to this movie. And we're back. You know, award season is the most exciting time in any of our lives. And we decided, why not make every week award season? And so we've done it here on Movie of the Year. We are going to give out awards for best performances and such in Joker. In Joker.
It's not the.
It's not, you guys. It's just Joker.
Just Joker.
Mike, let's start with you. Who do you think should win an award for the best pound-for-pound performance of the film?
All right, I'm ready to break a trend. Because the last few weeks were like, all right, I know I don't want to give it to the one-hander person who ruled this, but I have to. This time, I do not have to. I've loved this actor for a long time. I think he should be in everything. And the amount of, like, flabbergasted by the character when he has to deal with the Joker and that he's in this movie at all, there's just a slight arch eye-rolling in everything he does. Shea Wiggum, he plays one of the cops. He's the skinnier cop without a mustache. He's so fucking good in everything he does. And his energy of, why am I doing this at all, is great.
Agent Carter's boss, Steve Buscemi's brother.
Cookie's brother, yeah.
Cop brother. Yeah, this guy is probably never going to star in anything, but like one of my favorite character actors.
He's got a face for cops and federal agencies.
Yeah, he's so good at like the no malarkey energy, you know, just like, oh, I don't have time for any of this craziness.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect point because his 1920s person is not different than his 2019 person.
Yeah.
Like, it's timeless. No
this
malarkey.
Is all bullshit.
I think he was also in Homecoming, and he did the same thing. It was just like looking through notepads and being like, I can't believe this. I had to wake up super early for this. Ryan, who do you think has the best pound-for-pound performance?
Fuck it, man. I thought that if we didn't say Joaquin, then we're being like iconoclastic, but I'm not going to do it either.
Yeah.
I love the performance of, like, we're going to say you have to be two different characters, but if you could not just be, like, screaming in one character and then crying in the other one, just, like, change a little bit. Zazie Beetz was, like, you believed that she was sort of flirting with Arthur on the elevator, which is crazy. I don't know who would do that. But then also when she walked into the room and saw him after the B&E, you were, just based on her face, you were like, oh, okay, I get it. The movie's doing the thing where it was all imaginary. But, yeah, I thought she pulled off every single scene she was in.
Criminally underused.
And Ryan's going to take the point. Award goes to Zazie Beetz. Also, if it was best name of all time, the award would also go to Zazie Beetz. Our next category, Ryan, can you tell me who you nominate or what you nominate for cringiest moment?
So Todd Phillips, we've gone over his resume. We know what he's doing, and he's trying to break apart from that. But I really think that he did not do a good job breaking apart from his past with his treatment of the little person. It's like there are cameras pointed at. Would you guys like laughing along with us when we laugh at the little person? All the jokes are sort of broad, and then he is involved in some physical comedy at the end where he can't reach the lock. And I think it really feels like Todd Phillips thinks it's all legit funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that if the scene where they're all making fun of him, you could be like, oh, these guys are assholes. But putting that in where you didn't need to put that extra lock that's locked super high up, he could have not been able to open the door for so many reasons.
Yeah. Also, the part that offended, it's offensive in a lot of ways, but that dude lives in a world where things are high all the time. And so if he has to leave someone's apartment and he had to do it quickly, he would be very good at just finding something that he could drag over there and jump up on it and get the door. Like, they're not helpless. They know that things are higher than they would have them. Like, he just stood there and was like, oh, I guess I can't reach this. And it sucks because that guy's a good actor, and he might have been able to take it for pound performance as well, because he doesn't have a lot that he does in the movie, but he does it very well.
2 weeks after that, he's at a different house that has the same lock situation, and he still just calls Arthur. It's like, I'm so scared, but please come over.
Hey, buddy, it happened again. I'm sorry.
I know you're good at this by now.
Dang, this is nuts. I seem to have gotten behind another door. Mike, what do you think is the cringiest moment?
I think in movie and out of movie, just because so many people do tend to look up to the Joker, and with this one, the biggest offense is they're like, I found it relatable. Is that scene with Zazie where she's like, please don't hurt my kid, and he's just staring at her, not answering. It's just like, oh man, this is the guy you're all relating to, is somebody who breaks into a single mother's house and threatens her and her kid. Ugh, makes my skin crawl.
That's the character you have tattooed on your forearm while you make my sandwich? I don't want to see that. Ryan's going to take that one as well. Cringy to the max. All right. The next award is going to go to Director's Signature Moment. What is the most Todd Phillips moment in this movie, Mike?
I really do think it's the character of the Joker himself. It's the mediocre white guy pushing back against life. So I guess it's him screaming, you get what you fucking deserve. Because at some point, Zach Galifianakis says something like that in The Hangover. Vince Vaughn says it when he creates a frat. Like, all of them go, fuck anybody telling me what to do. It's their fault, not my fault.
What do you say, Ryan?
This one was hard, and I'm trying not to be an asshole to this guy, but it's hard to, like, see what his moves are. And so I think that, like Mike, I'm going to sum it up in one scene, which is right at the beginning, one of the more iconic scenes, Joker trying to force a smile, force a frown. That's sort of what Todd Phillips does, is just like, please let me stick I don't know how to do it naturally, so let me stick my fingers in your mouth and move your mouth up and down based on whatever strings I am trying to pull.
Do you know what I do like? I do like this counter-programming to how Batman got formed. It's not because he saw his parents get shot. It's because a stranger stuck his fingers through a gate and into his mouth, and then he went, well, that should never happen to any child.
I didn't like that one bit. All right, I'm going to give the point to Mike with the, you got to listen to me now. I'm a white dude, and I want people to hear what I got to say. All right, now we're going to do our very special awards that are just for Joker. Ryan, can you say who you nominate for the award for the time in the movie when you wished for the tiny Joker from the meme? Now, there's a meme that came out with Joker dancing on the stairs, but then they had like changed the ratio on him, so he got really squat and tiny. And
like Spawn's villain, right? Do you remember Spawn's big villain?
Oh yeah, the clown. Yeah, sure, dude. That demon. So, guys, when did you most wish that guy were in the movie instead of the Joker that we got?
Greg, I'm going to be honest with you right now. This was the hardest part of this entire endeavor, taking on Joker, is trying to figure out when this would have been better, because the obvious answer is everything. But I have to go with killing his mom with a pillow, suffocating her. If that was just if that was a short, squat, tiny little demon just jumping on the bed and trying to suffocate her with a normal-sized pillow, I think that would have been so much better.
What do you say, Mike?
I was going to say when he's yelling at Thomas Wayne, but what we've been talking about, I think if he kills the big guy who was mean to him, and then the manager of the clowns is trying to get out and can't reach the lock, and he's like, neither can I, and then they have to use teamwork together.
So you want more little people jokes. You thought the movie did not have enough little people jokes.
This one shows teamwork.
When I had conceived of this question, I didn't think of its connection to that other part of the movie. That certainly was not what the joke was about. So, Ryan, you're going to take the point there, and we're going to scoot on right by from this award. Up next, Mike, this one's going to be tough, you guys, but I want you to really do it, okay? What is a moment that you actually liked?
Okay,
Mike?
I was going to have a throw of some Army one of when he talked to the cops and then ran into the glass door.
Okay.
Because that did make me breathe harder than I had been, which is almost a laugh. But a scene I actually do think really worked was before he goes on Murray's show, he's watching somebody who did well on the show and is practicing.
Yeah.
And to show like that level of insanity and planning, and one that's how what real comedians do shit like that, and just like that is like the Joker isn't just chaos, he's planned chaos, and so that kind of showed that, and it felt real in a way so much of his character did not.
Okay, Ryan, what do you say?
I think there's a moment in this movie that makes me feel what the whole movie was trying to do, and it's when the cops, including Shea Wiggum, run into the subway, and then they're chasing down Arthur, and then they pull their gun, and then the gun gets taken, and he ends up killing one of the clowns, and then the clowns see that, and then they like swamp on him and like take it over. They swarm, and the whole subway is chaos, and we have this feeling in movies and in real life where like things are crazy, but cops will come in and they'll make it better. Not only do they typically make it worse, but what if they're just overtaken? Like, what if their badge means nothing? Now, what do we have? And I could feel that whole time, like my chest going like, oh, fuck. And it's in a subway. It's in a very small space. It was like claustrophobic, and sort of that was when my heart was beating, I think, the amount that I was supposed to be, the entire time.
Mm-hmm. For me, the only moment of this movie that I would say I genuinely liked and I think is delivered perfectly is when it cuts to the cops and you're no longer in the dance of the bells anymore. You're no longer seeing like the Joker like thinking he looks so cool and smoking and dancing on the steps, and you just see this guy dressed like that and he's just going like doing the air humping. It reminds me of that Lonely Island song where the guy's singing about being on cocaine, and there's like birds and like all these cartoons, and then it cuts to what other people see, and he's just like kind of twitching, and someone's like, "What's his problem?" It's like, "Oh, he's high on cocaine."
It also reminds me a lot of how I actually look and sound when I'm doing real humping. Just that same noise.
We've all heard it.
What was yours again, Mike?
When the scene where he's practicing to be on Murray's talk show.
I liked that. I'm going to give you the point there, Mike, because I think as crazy as Joker is supposed to be as a character and as weird as that is, I think we all practice being normal. when I'm in social interaction, this is how I should talk. Okay, remember, be a normal person. Remember how to do it. All right, and our last award is going to go for Scorseseest moment. So, Ryan, what do you think should win Scorseseest moment?
I mean, the obvious thing is to do something from Taxi Driver, but to be honest, there's so many movies that rip off Taxi Driver. The one that is like done just with no guilt whatsoever is the King of Comedy. Like that was Jerry Lewis as the talk show host and Robert De Niro as the Joker, and then they just moved Robert De Niro into that spot. When he, in the very beginning of the movie, when he first imagines being on the show and getting a ton of laughter, that is, I mean, it's literally shot for shot what Scorsese did in that moment. And all of the ways that Scorsese, like, he does like this gritty realism, but he's also so good at confusing you and making you not know what's real or not, which is what Todd Phillips wanted to do the entire time. But in order to do it effectively, he carbon copied that scene from King of Comedy.
He really doesn't understand how to reference. Like, you can refer to things without just having to reproduce them. What do you say, Mike?
I was trying to avoid just like he wanted to make these movies. It feels like a lot of Scorsese uses, like, if not directly Frank Sinatra, like a lot of big bands score, and this movie uses I think they had the money only for one Frank Sinatra song, and just having that as the musical cue behind things. Well, there was never a full montage. Like, I wanted him to start talking about like, and here's how we jokered back in the day. Everything was great. So he didn't do that, but there's definitely like cues where it'd be a quiet scene, and then like That's Life would kick in. Also, I just want a moment to talk about That's Life, because Murray's closing sign-off is like, and you know what I say, that's life. Apropos of nothing. Did not make sense to what he was saying before.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking hacky thing to be like, see, and now the song That's Life, it's all connected. But motherfucker, you curated this whole universe. It's not like, whoa, that makes me think. You seem like an asshole.
How great would it have been? Probably would have ruined this award, but how great would it have been if, like, when we first meet Arthur, there's a freeze frame. And it's just him voiceover saying, for as far back as I remember, I wanted to be a Joker.
That movie would be so much better than this movie.
All right, and the winner is going to be you, Ryan, with the shot-for-shot recreation. The Scorsese's moment was the time he remade a Scorsese scene.
I will say this. I think the most effective version is that everybody thinks that they can make you, like, see what New York is like, but Scorsese figured out how to make you like smell New York,
Uh-huh.
and that's what this movie did almost as good. Is like this isn't the the City That Never Sleeps, the Big Easy, the Seattle Junior, whatever the names are. You really do feel like you can smell every corner of this movie.
Well, one of the first audio cues we hear is like radio channels, and they're like, "We got garbage and super rats all over the place." Like,
This is Gotham. It's not a city you recognize the name of before. We got rats and garbage.
I'm radioing here.
Oh, the weather's crazy. Well, that is the end of our awards. Ryan, do you want to tell them who won? Who won what and the who now?
Yeah, Zazie Beetz won Best Performance. The little person treatment was cringiest. Joker's something with the Joker won Best Director. Killing Mom was the best time to have a little Joker. Him watching videos was the
Moment we actually liked.
moment we actually liked, and the complete ripoff of King of Comedy was the Scorsese's moment.
Congratulations. Any of those people or moments can come on down to our studios. We won't be there, of course, because it's dangerous to be anywhere right now. When we come back, I will tell you who won today's episode, and we will see how Joker's going to do in the rest of this bracket. I have tabulated the scores. You guys are not going to believe it. Ryan, you have 37 points.
That's pretty good, right?
that's a lot of
That
points.
is a lot of points, but Mike, you scored 38.
What?
What the
You
fuck?
did it, bud. You won. You take the mantle of best friend, and now you truly are the clown prince of friendom.
This
I
is
like
bullshit. I'm obviously like going to turn in paperwork in order to like protest this. But do you guys in general prefer losing by just a little, or would you rather just get blown the fuck out of the water?
Oh, I'm a sore loser, so like I want to lose by a lot and always just be throwing my hands up in the air and just like, this is ridiculous, and then stop trying so that on some level I can be like, I never even competed.
As somebody who's lost by like 15 points on this show, I'd say losing by 1 feels a little better.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like you were
You're
in
like,
there.
oh, like I'm not embarrassed for people to hear this later.
So I said 15 fewer interesting things than he did. Okay, that's
I just
cool.
won't come next week. That's fine.
That's good to know. So, Mike, you are the champion and best friend now. You have won this. What do we think the chances are that Joker is going to win our bracket?
It only is on this top 8 because it was like the most controversial movie of 2019. It's bananas we had to do this fucking show.
Traditionally, Mike, you hate giving away like how movies are going to do in the finale,
Oh,
right?
it might take down Parasite. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I want to hear is keep talking about how, but I mean like it's really hard to like come up with, I don't know, like vague teasy things about the finale where Joker's going to do well.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it could win Moody's?
Do we have Razzie Moody's that I'm not remembering?
I don't think so.
Not after we kind of let the cat out of the bag and said that we were not blown away by Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix's performance.
that was the
I
one,
think
right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe no, because there's violence in a lot of the other movies. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a standout in any of the
Best
any
Jokering?
of the
Oh.
movies.
No, because
No.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he
that was some good
Joker's
Joker.
so good.
Oh my God, I'm going to come.
Shit, do
All
you
right,
guys think that he could do, like, let's say 10 more years? He's 10 years older. I don't know the director. Let's say the Safdie brothers. Do you think he could be like a good retirement Joker?
Yes,
Oh man,
I would love that.
That would be nuts.
but then it might take our best comedian and drive him crazy. We wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want to lose his bright talent. All right, so Mike, as the winner, you are going to get to choose the movie for next time.
Shit.
There's not a ton of choices left over. I think it's just between Parasite and Little Women.
And The Irishman.
Yeah, no, he
Oh, and The
purposely is like,
Irishman.
I don't want to watch a 3-hour movie next week, so here are your choices.
And
no, I would never.
I think as the winner, you have the power to say Joker. So
Yeah.
if
Joker
that's what
round
you want to
two.
do.
Let's do it again, see how we feel. I'm going to say let's keep going on the class warfare strain, but really stick it to the Joker and say who can do it better. We're parasiting, brothers.
Parasite. So you heard it here first. Next week's show is Parasite.
I'm pumped.
Before we go, we just have to thank Shady Monk, who does our music, our sweet tunes that you hear, bringing more energy and life to the show than probably any other element of it. But this show is not the only show we have on our vast podcast network. Would you agree with that, Mike?
That's true. True words never spoken.
What other shows? What other shows can the fans at home expect to hear?
There is the Superhero Show, where every week Cassie takes Ryan and I through the journey that is every single live-action TV show based on comic books. There is the OCD, where nobody makes Ryan and I compete. We're just allowed to be friends. And we go...
Oh, that sounds boring.
Nobody loves it. Episode by episode through the OC.
Can we use that as a tagline? The OCD. Nobody loves it. A lot of people like it, but nobody loves it.
But nobody loves it. Ryan, do you know about websites and the internet and such?
I do. You guys want to do Parasite next week? I got a Parasites for you right now. One is yourpopfilter.com. That's where you can go to get all of our shows, all of our articles. That's where we sort of hang out without touching each other. Yourpopfilter.com. Yourpopfilter.com/Amazon is where you go, make that your bookmark, and write them a little letter that says, "Fuck you, assholes. I will not be ordering anything from you because you're stupid." And you want people to die? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. They actively want their employees to die is what we're saying.
But, Mike, we're out of points time, right? So, I can say things and, this is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that Parasite thing for free. I couldn't believe it.
Well, that one I should probably get a point for next week. But right now, with Greg's haircut, have we talked about his Taika Waititi energy he's got going on right now?
No, and that's crazy because I don't know if you'd get points or it'd give me points because you think you're trying too hard. But it's definitely got that Taika, that silver foxy shine.
That is the exact haircut that I copied for this.
Also, sorry, go ahead, Taika. Talk about your awesome hair.
No, you guys continue to do the show. I will now look at my own
just
feed
stare at your face
and just sort of touch my hair because it got a compliment and I feel.
Zoom should not let you look at your camera because all three of us have been staring at our own.
I hide mine right away so I can actually pay attention to the show.
Also, make sure you go to patreon.com/yourpopfilter. Mike talked about this before. Pick a tier, and then you get to hear the entire show. And let's be honest, we do save the bad bits we're not that good on for the free show. You got to pay for Patreon in order to get the good stuff.
Can I pimp?
That's just how it is.
Can I pimp two fun things? One is coming on Patreon.
Yeah.
One is coming. You might have heard it in this very feed, but you were confused. On Patreon, get ready for the panel where he used to be friend of the show. I guess now he's just on a show. Is Tompkins and I are going through comic books. The first scene is about Ex Machina, a comic you don't remember existing, or if you did,
I remember that movie.
Huh?
Oscar Isaac.
It's not based on that. It is based on the movie Oscar Isaac will be making.
The Alex Garland directed Ex Machina.
That is that. Right. And then if you're like, the Wayback came in 2020. Why is that in my feed? We will be doing. There's so many movies that aren't coming out in theaters anymore, so we're going to be doing bonus shows for free in this feed. If there was a movie you really wanted to see in theaters and you know it's on streaming now, hit us up. At contact@yourpopfilter.com to bring it back into a commercial and let us know what 2020 movie. If you want Trolls World Tour, baby, email us and let us know we got to do that one.
We'll give you all that sweet Trolls World Tour content.
Caitlin from the U20s is tweeting about how much she liked Trolls World Tour.
Uh-huh.
That means she's not on the show, right? We can't unleash her on that.
I don't think
that's because she loves those McElroy boys, and so the Adventure Zone and my brother and me.
And the McElroy brothers will be in Trolls too.
Are those other podcasters?
They are.
Yeah, they're on one of your smaller podcasts.
Don't like it.
Like ours. Yeah. All right, well, that is our show for this week. When we come back next week, we'll be doing Parasite. But until then, that's life.